All right. How's everyone doing this morning slash evening?
Pretty good, Terry. I know that we have some questions. This is the second AMA that we've done, so I'm excited to get to it.
Likewise, and for our community listening in, please feel free to chime in the general chat channel. Uh, let's get started. The first question we've
Awesome.
got. First question we've
Thank
got
you,
here.
Terry.
Yep, I can hear you. All
All
right.
right, Terry, take it away.
So, question one. Please tell us about Portal and Fabric to Lightning capability.
Yeah, so I guess I take this one as it's tech related. We are about to release our engineering roadmap that should be coming out here in the next couple days, and this will talk a lot more about our wider plans. But we are absolutely, yes, confirming that we will be adding Lightning support to the Portal wallet. We will also be looking into, in the future, other Layer 2 networks that exist for other chains, including Raiden for Ethereum. But the only thing that we're committing to full implementation of at this point is Lightning, and that will definitely exist in the Portal wallet.
Ah, fantastic. Let's see, what else do we have? For question two, atomic swap technology is not new, but it's rarely used today. What do you guys think are the current problems and difficulties in using atomic swaps?
Great question. So the questioner is right. Atomic swaps are not new. They date all the way back to 2013 to Tier Nolan, an anonymous poster on Bitcoin.
Not sure if Chanda trailed off there, but yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct. The swaps have been around for a long time. The challenge really is in the complex setup process. I mean, this is the same reason why smart contracting has actually been possible on Bitcoin for a long time, but the features are not are there's a high barrier to entry effectively. And so when, Chandra and I kind of, got this project started, one of the most important things to us was on the user experience side. So we've actually, one of the many reasons why it's taken, so long to get where we are, is, it's really difficult to think about these user experience. I mean, even Lightning itself, it's still pretty tough to get into. You kind of have to be technologically minded. And for Portal, what we're really trying to do is bring product into the hands of the general population. So we put a lot of thought and time into how these features are exposed to the user, and with a reasonable degree of abstraction, such that it's easy for somebody to use, easy to understand. The old adage, you want your grandma to be able to do it. So yeah, that's hopefully I picked up on what you were trying to say there, Chandra.
Thank you, Eric. Hopefully you guys can hear me better now. I was using my AirPods. So yes to everything Eric said. In addition, the traditional problems with atomic swaps have always been, the lockup griefing attack, the liquidity lockup griefing or liquidity stealing attack. There's another one called the unpaid option or unpaid or free option problem. That's an issue where one of the parties actually says he's going to do a swap and make you lock up the coins. He has the option to whether palm the swap or just quietly walk away. Price moves against them. Stuff like that. There were several issues like that. The speed and the transaction fees are mitigated by moving the execution of the swaps to layer 2, as Eric suggested. The unpaid option problem and the lockup griefing attack are mitigated because of the three-party transaction model that we use. But the most important thing is to have a reasonable level of abstraction so people have an interface that feels natural, doesn't feel awkward, and actually doesn't surface all of the technical complexities involved in what's happening under the hood. That's our work, is to reduce that mental barrier for people to be able to practically use it. Very much speed and ease and intuitiveness.
Fantastic. Now, could you elaborate a little bit more on that third-party transaction model? Is that us? Is that the facilitator per se?
Great. So no, it could be us, it could be anybody, right? The facilitators are the entities that intermediate the market. Like, for example, Terry and Eric want to do a swap. There is this belief in the Bitcoin ecosystem in layer one swap model that somehow they, the ether, Ethereum's ether, but in the general ether, and somehow agree and coordinate by themselves. And they are going to send these swap transactions to each other through some channel, and they'll perform everything that they're supposed to do. I mean, that's obviously not how markets work. That's not how networks work. So the three-party model is there's a facilitator that performs certain functions, not just matching the parties and counterparties, meaning the swap requests, intelligently broadcasting the requests across the network depending on the probability of success, setting the premiums for these for if it's an option or if it's just a swap, setting the fees, setting the premiums, and maintaining a full history of the state of each transaction and unbroadcast transaction. So if something goes wrong and a client goes offline before they were supposed to broadcast their transaction to the settling blockchain, they would do that. So they perform some watchtower functionality as well. So they are an independent entity that are not connected to the party or the counterparty except through the transaction process. Could be Portal, could be anybody, could be anyone in the Portal network play that role because they get paid for playing that role.
Ooh, sounds like they're really gonna have to earn it.
Yes, get paid for work performed.
All right, let's move on to our third question. Now, this one's been pretty big for me. Will Portal allow for cross-chain swaps on other chains, such as Ethereum to Polygon, directly without going through Bitcoin? And what would be the throughputs and transactions per second be like?
So right now we're in really an early technology development phase, and adding interoperability between two different ecosystems at this point in time is somewhat difficult. So there's no extensive use of Lightning on Ethereum, for example. So we kind of have to build our own layer 2 components. We have to understand more about the ecosystem and what's possible right now, including Raiden. So at this time, we're not anticipating adding support for other chains in that capacity. We do rely actually in our model on the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. So at least for the time being, we are somewhat coupled to just the BTC and Ethereum pair, which is what we've basically been committed to supporting since the beginning. We're really hopeful as we fan out. We'll probably add a couple more pairs down the line after we get a good reliable set of layer 2 infrastructure in place. And then after that, all bets are off. We will have many options available to us at that point in time.
Yep. To add to what Eric said, with Polygon, we're actually working with them to facilitate POS WBTC, which is their wrap BTC on Polygon. swappable to Bitcoin. So you wouldn't have to actually go through Ethereum, but you could do USW BTC to BTC swaps.
Fantastic, guys. We're still a little bit early in development, but we have options for how to proceed in the future, especially towards those potential new trading pairs.
Yeah, let me chime in there as well. So really, the direction that we're heading is towards the computation model. So, the atomic swap, the one for one swap, is just one simple form of a contract. Down the line, it would be very easy if you to imagine a world where anyone could offer a synthetic pair. Any facilitator in the network, anyone who has the wallet installed and is running a portal node, will be able to create, a synthetic asset, if you will, where they are the signatory, the issuer of said asset, and as a result, you could create a secondary pair where even if the core protocol did not support, let's say, ETC to Polygon or ETC to Binance Smart Chain or whatever it may be, someone else could offer or underwrite that contract by providing liquidity through the layer 2 network. And so there's lots of options like that down the line, and those sophisticated financial tools, are certainly a little bit more on the complex side. So they are definitely much further down in our roadmap. But that functionality is not limited to if we provide it to you as as a protocol. You can build it yourself once the system is deployed. So again, all options are on the table once we get through this initial churn of development work. So
Modularity, I love it. Now, could you elaborate a little bit on? I think one of you guys mentioned we were building essentially our own version of Lightning on Ethereum.
yeah, again, we've got the technology update, and soon after that will come the roadmap for everybody, and I'm sure everyone's excited about that. But we are again, looking to build cross-chain interoperability. There are a number of layer 2 systems in the Ethereum world. However, it seems that Raiden kind of is leading the pack. Um, it's I believe the Raiden network is smaller than the Lightning network, and there's some usability problems in my opinion, with Raiden. But we're working through, and we're trying to find a good solution. We're also pretty big fans of the Cosmos ecosystem. They've got what is effectively a federated chain, a proof of stake chain, and they have this protocol called IBC, interblockchain communication. So we're really looking at all the way the ecosystem and other communities are building these tools, and trying to build some sort of a common solution, something that unifies everything. And I will say, at least initially, it is looking like Lightning as a protocol, with some minor tweaks, is certainly compatible and can be made compatible with some of these other chain designs. So we're in a research phase with regards to that. But again, just kind of going back to the first question that was asked, we're really heavily focused on bringing the Bitcoin side of things to market first. But other than that, yeah, we're trying to work with as many of these L2 providers as possible, such that it is easy to move funds across these currently very disconnected networks. Most of the time, especially these wrapped tokens, you have to move your funds through some trusted bridge somewhere. It's some federation that is holding those funds. And we just we want to make it much more simple and much more inexpensive and much safer, frankly, to move funds between chains. So
Eh, Absolutely. What fantastic answers, guys. Let's see. Moving on. For question 4. What role, if any, does Portal have in establishing user identity? Does Portal have any features for keeping user anonymity?
I would say absolutely yes. There's nothing that we provide in terms of requirements or even limitations around how many wallets you have, what you do with those wallets. That's none of anybody's business, right? You will always be able to bring a seed to the Portal wallet or import a private key of any sort, and your funds will be safe, provided that you're not using any of the custodialized or centralized exchanges that we may or may not have support for within the Portal desktop application. Portal is entirely focused on self-sovereignty. That which comes, it's kind of a sort of Damocles kind of thing, double-edged sword in a way. The power is in your hands, and with great power comes great responsibility. But Portal is absolutely singularly focused on absolute self-sovereignty, and we are building and designing the security and the privacy aspects of Portal with that in mind explicitly.
Fantastic, eh? It sounds like what a user does with their funds is their business.
Damn
And they are
straight.
the only people in control and custody of their funds at all times.
That's a crucial element, Chandra. Thank you for pulling that one out. Yeah, it's unlike these custodialized bridges and wrapped token models. You are the one who actually holds the keys in during the duration of the bond or the lockup, the payment channel liquidity. You are the one who holds the keys, so you're the only one in control.
Excellent. I'm sure plenty of our privacy-oriented folks be quite pleased to hear all this. Now let's see. For question 5, are there plans for a testnet of this project?
We do have plans for a test net, absolutely. So we're just about at the point where we're beginning what's called the private playnet. We're calling it. Um, this will take place most likely after we move into the private beta for the desktop client. But it is coming up on the roadmap pretty much next epoch. So yes, we are absolutely planning on a test net. That test net will start small and will grow forward in phases. There are potential protocol changes coming down the pipeline. There are potential feature changes and MVP things that are defining in the MVP what we really need may change. But yes, that will be rolled out in a metered fashion, most likely, almost certainly before the end of the quarter.
Excellent, excellent. And this will be made available for the users. Say with, any thoughts on functionality, akin to paper trading in legacy trading platforms?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, is this paper trading, mock trading? I'm
Yeah, essentially, the ability to practice the actuation of trading without risking real funds.
yes. I hadn't thought of that, but because of our testing requirements, where we're doing a form of paper trading, I suppose. But that is certainly something that we will put in the pipeline. Make sure you note who made that suggestion. Yeah, I think that could be pretty powerful.
Great suggestion, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever made it. Pretty interesting.
We actually do want to include sort of a marketplace, sort of much not now, not before we get the full implementation of the exchange in place, but once the exchange is up and running, there are many other features and services for which we'd like to have a marketplace within the portal application. So and this gets to the same idea of being able to create multiple interoperable products. Perhaps Portal offers additional products down the line that do things other than just trading, and maybe some of those services are financial. And ideally, whoever builds those application, whether it's a user or us, the company, or other companies, they can provide that application as a consumable product within other applications, because the protocols are compatible between each of the applications. And you can imagine things like price prediction models. Of course you can do back testing against this kind of paper trading thing. If I had made this trade, how would I have done? You can offer, even price feeds for centralized oracles. If it's some sort of API, you can imagine, or metadata or sentiment data. These are all services that can exist inside of a Fabric speaking network. And using that, people will have the opportunity to kind of make money by creating value add services for this new decentralized system. But yeah, great suggestion. I think paper trading would be fun. Might even be able to launch some kind of contest even. But yeah, so I appreciate the suggestion, and as always for everybody, I think please keep community feedback coming. It has been very helpful over the past couple weeks as we move through this troubled time.
Absolutely fantastic answers too, guys. Really appreciate. Ooh, this one's a little bit of a longer question, so hold on to your seats. Most blockchain networks create an arms race for node operators to reduce operating costs as much as possible. This creates a situation where many node operators are eventually forced to ask for less and less reward in order to stay competitive. While this is efficient for the market, it also leads to centralization, as the node market converges to a few mining pools. This problem can be observed in even the largest blockchain networks like Bitcoin and Ethereum. What do you think about this problem, and how it can affect the future of cryptocurrency?
Yeah, fantastic question. I love this kind of game theory. So I think it's more of like a S curve, if you will, in terms of centralization pressure, resource costs, energy utilization. If we zoom out and instead of thinking about fabric and computation markets and resource markets, and just look at Bitcoin's proof of work, which is the basic, I think part of the example that he used. If you just look at a system like that, then what tends to happen is, especially because it's proof of work based, very simple. You have miners converting energy into evidence that thermodynamic security, this transaction, you have to spend this amount of energy in order to get it reversed. The hardware, there is a physical limit to the hardware size, right? We might get one or two more orders of magnitude. But we're really, really pushing the boundaries right now at about 4 nanometers, being the smallest die size that you can physically make before the atoms, the electrons, and they start quantum tunneling, basically jumping between in a superposition between the different atoms of silicon that you're trying to route them around. So we have fundamental physical limits. So I think it's important to point at the manufacturing capacity. You talk about centralization pressure because of the increased resource utilization costs. As the value of the generated asset goes up, the market becomes much more well capitalized. Instead of taking bubble funding, helicopter money from a government, creating a bubble in an investment in some market. This is a metered growth system. It is a system designed explicitly to scale with the amount of effort being put into it. So that the chips at a certain point will become so inexpensive to produce as a result of mass capitalization of those interested in bringing forward the adoption of that asset. I don't know if you've ever read from the Nakamoto Institute. There's an article on speculative currency attacks. I think this is really what is going to take place. And while you may see, mining capacity, it may appear that mining capacity is growing towards centralization. We're actually, I would say, on the flip side of that for Bitcoin, we reached peak centralization with BTC Guild when BTC Guild was sitting at 47, 48% of mining power. They had to self-regulate, right? Because if a single miner, if a known single miner, does indeed aggregate, or it appears to be aggregating more than 50% of the mining power, then the asset is at risk. You're in that emergency situation. Therefore, the asset will be devalued by the market, thus decapitalizing the miners. So if they then have an asset that they can't sell onto the market, that's ill-advisable. So BTC Guild stopped accepting registrations for their mining pool.
Voluntarily, I'll add.
Voluntarily, completely
Yeah.
voluntarily. It was really, really wild. But as look, there are many. I think there are 3 or 4 new chip manufacturers that I have seen come online, and there are other areas where efficiencies can be gained. Not only in energy efficiency. You got to, depending on what frequency you're pumping your electricity through your chip at. You're creating a byproduct, which in the form of heat. And there's so many different things that can be done. But ultimately, the manufacture of chips is going to become so widespread, inexpensive, and simple that mining, at least proof of work in its basic form, there is absolutely no question that it is going to be commoditized. So as long as the ecosystem, which at least Bitcoin does, continues to constrain resource costs as the number one priority. I mean, Bitcoin as a system is designed explicitly to use block space as the primary resource. Now, each transaction obviously has computation costs depending on how complex its script is. But moving forward with Taproot and first SegWit, which allowed us to actually separate out the signature data, giving us huge between 20 and 30% space savings. These types of optimizations will keep resource costs low for at least for the Bitcoin ecosystem. And we very much have the same mindset. We want a minimal protocol such that resource costs are low and things retain their accessibility in the sense that they're affordable. There is absolutely no reason for you to deal with multiple layers of tokens or these $400 transaction fees just to sell or to get rid of $20 of ETH that you somehow accidentally acquired. I mean, very importantly is just generally the security model. And I think the proof of work model ultimately leads to think that all of this being commoditized. All services, not just Bitcoin, not just energy in the sense for thermodynamic security in Bitcoin land, but computational resources, long-term data storage resources, All of those things are basically going to become commoditized. We're going to see Amazon eventually, just AWS, and instead of it being all in their data center, all of our individual computers, our phones, our desktops, our laptops, the servers that we have and have access to, we'll all be buying and selling services to one another, most likely with the magic money of the internet. So yeah, that's kind of the way I think about the game theory of proof of work and the commoditization of that stuff. I don't think that it leads to centralization unless you allow the resource costs to grow. And Bitcoin has a strong history of actually heading the opposite direction and making things cheaper and less resource intensive.
Whew, love the energy. Uh, I'm hoping some of those aforementioned cheaper chips will make my graphics card cheaper.
Yeah, I'm absolutely stunned at the GPU market not bouncing back. I mean, there should certainly be new fabrications going with the prices that people are paying for GPUs these days. It should be absolutely clear that they should be building as many new fabs at as many locations as possible. But yeah, we are definitely seeing it in the crypto world, in the Bitcoin world. People are, we've got new designs of new chips coming online, new models from new manufacturers. So, and the demand is only growing. I mean, even as we move forward through this like little bit of a down cycle, this accumulation phase, I still see people making large orders for miners and setting up new facilities.
Oh yeah, especially where electricity is cheap. Ah, it's too bad you can't use a
The
Bitcoin miner to cool your house.
Is it to heat your
Well,
house though?
Oh yeah, definitely to heat it. All right, guys, fantastic answers. Now let's move on. Ooh, bit of a doozy, this one. Can you tell us about the strategy that your project will follow to attract the few billion people who are not yet familiar with crypto? Do you plan to build many more local communities for this?
yes. So we actually we think that the user experience component is important, and let me get to the latter part of that first. Yes, we are going to be going out and building localized communities. Not we can decentralize the software, but as long as we run on the current internet infrastructure, things are still going to be at risk and somewhat centralized. I mean, the public internet right now still relies on infrastructure pipes that are owned by other people. There are centralized elements in the network design. We need local communities, localized communities, not only regional, but actually genuinely local, because the deployment of hardware infrastructure, radio links, and self-sovereign infrastructure at the hardware level is also super important. It's definitely not something that we have the capacity to work on or focus on at this time in terms of a hardware infrastructure side of things. But stay tuned. But we absolutely want to connect people with one another locally. I mean, if you talk about the traditional story of remittances, or perhaps the story of M-Pesa and mobile phone minutes in Kenya and other regions in Africa, where people have to travel 30 or 40 miles once a week to go get what they need to live, and that involves transferring mobile phone minutes around, or getting access to the local currency if it seems so fit. And I myself even have been known, in the early days to acquire, national currencies and buy and sell Bitcoin, physically in person, meeting up with people, through Mycelium wallet and some of these other and even local Bitcoins back in the day. So building local communities is absolutely essential. And the challenge is really, and I think Chandra could probably speak more on this, it is really in just finding a user experience that makes sense and is accessible to the average user. I mean, a good portion of the people who've been onboarded into crypto so far are at least somewhat technical, or at least they grew up on the internet. They're a digital native, if you will. But if we were looking for the next billion, and then hopefully the entirety of humanity, at least whoever wants access to it, we really have to simplify it and boil it down to something that is approachable. So I'd say those are the challenges. Yes, there is even a URL you can go to, fabric.locals.com. We're going to give an experiment with the Locals platform. So yeah, if you guys want to start your own local clubs, maybe we can create some resources. We love to do hackathons, so we can even do a global virtual hackathon if we want. Stuff like this is definitely coming down the pipeline. But as we kind of move through this next little phase here and get to our first part of product, so we can get the actual wallet in everyone's hands, you'll be seeing those things come down the pipeline more and more.
Great answer by Eric. I want to add a couple of things. So the path to 1 billion people in my mind is pretty easy, right? It's simple, not easy. It's applications, applications, applications. We intend to build apps, not just software apps, but actual applications that regular.
Ooh, sounds like cutting out there, Chandra.
Yeah, we
Can
got
you
to
hear
get
me
him
okay
out.
now? Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, we got you. We got to
All right,
get
all
you
right.
out of the Apple ecosystem, Chandra.
That's right. That's right. It's not a pleasant interface with Discord. So, Bitcoin provides certain things like censorship resistance, etc. And any applications that people want and need that are built on Bitcoin will bring more and more users into the ecosystem. And that's just the way to get to 1 billion users, just like the iOS ecosystem got to 1 billion users by providing more and more value to the end users. And all of the constraints that Eric talked about, the user experience, the value proposition, uh, network effect, all of those things play into that. So it's a long process, but we're very, very optimistic because it's easy to build on a tide that's actually rising. You know, it's much harder to create a tide of your own. Bitcoin is the tide that is rising, and yeah, we're well positioned.
Absolutely. Oh, and Eric, that remittances, that isn't something I've heard in a long, long time. Back in the day, that was one of the big things about Bitcoin. Uh,
It still is, Terry. It still is. I think remittances, pretty much across the board, are up something like 300 or 400% in 2021, which again was another 300 or 400% from 2020. So I think the reality is, look, Bitcoin works. It does not matter what the Bitcoin price is. It literally does not matter. Okay. Bitcoin works as a censorship resistant money, and it is being used as a censorship resistant money today. Mass adoption will take place when people need Bitcoin, and it is happening. It is unfolding right now as corporations and governments the world over are locking down and restricting access to financial systems. That's your money. You worked for it. They don't deserve none of it. So yeah, I think it's important to recognize the remittances side of thing because that's something that is tangibly helpful to the people who need it the most, who are those who are attacked, targeted, harassed, and oppressed by their governments and the corporatocracy that has developed as governments, and their backdoor swindling deals.
Whew, you said it. I'm still wondering what kind of overhead Western Unions got keep their fees so high for so long. You'd think they'd get better after all these years. They just get worse.
I still remember when they showed up at one of the early San Francisco meetups, Bitcoin meetups. Guy was just kind of sniffing around. I think this was 2000, early 2014, late 2013. So it was pretty funny to see, and they've done nothing really, but try to fight back, and it's just ineffective.
Agreed. Now, this leads fantastically into the next question. Will all this change the way people think about Bitcoin?
I'm
Yes,
hoping so.
with more use cases, more usability, more applications, absolutely. Bitcoin may be a novel thing now. It'll be seen as an indispensable part of life at some.
Yeah, I don't. Ethereum certainly had a far bigger marketing budget than we do, but we're nothing to we're not, we ain't, as Wu-Tang Clan might put it, we ain't nothing to fuck with. And I think more important than marketing is actual real real technology and actual tangible product. That's really the answer here. And yes, I do think that what we're doing is going to really open a lot of people's eyes with regards to what Bitcoin is capable of. And so we're kind of honored to be doing what we're doing and where we are. I think this is such an important part of the community and what will really bring Bitcoin to where it needs to be.
Indeed. We've always heard the phrase or people talking about the Ethereum ecosystem, but being able to flesh out the Bitcoin ecosystem, that's something too.
Well, it's all connected, right? I'm famously bullish on Bitcoin to the point of maximalism, right? But the pluralist argument still holds strong. I'm a free market capitalist. I encourage everyone to create and develop their own things. That's literally why I became an open source developer, and I do the things that I do. But again, if you look in terms of the design approach and philosophy and sort of the net effect, we're going through a transition period, a radical shift for humanity in the way that we deal with and manage money. So this doesn't this is money is a winner takes all game at the end of the day. Money forms a foundational layer as a price as a technology for extracting pricing information from markets that sort of liberates us from the historical need for other forms of governance. And so, this transitionary period is going to be pretty wild, and that's why a lot of the illusions and analogies have been used to the Wild West. This lawless area where occasionally the rangers roll through and tidy things up, or the army comes through and takes them 2 weeks to get there after some crazy thing happened. It really is apt, but it doesn't. It's not forever. That period does not last forever. So, I encourage people to go, make your trades, whether you trade on fundamentals or technicals or whatever. Just the best advice that I give to people as part of this, radical shift in the way that we deal with money, is, just please have some Bitcoin. Just have some. And from there, the rest is fairly easy. And I think most people tend to come to the same conclusions. Yeah, that's why I kind of think the way that I do with regards to, the security aspect of these systems. I think Bitcoin is the only one that is going to last, but that doesn't stop anybody from trading on the price action.
I concur. And hey, it sounds like you could call us one of the Rangers tidying up things a little bit in this wild crypto west.
By the way, the Wild West wasn't that wild at all. Contrary to Hollywood popularity, popular culture movies, the Wild West was actually pretty peaceful. I recommend a book published by Stanford Press called Not So Wild Wild West, Property Rights on the Frontier. It wasn't that wild. It's actually more peaceful than modern day Cleveland, apparently. That's what the researchers show. So
I believe it, Chandra.
Hey, I'd still love to see all the crazy movies they'll talk about this quote unquote wild crypto west. They'll come
that's
up with
right.
some
That's the
great
yep, that's the Hollywood version.
The question is, who's going to be John Wayne?
Bitcoin, man.
Yes, we'll see if the real Satoshi will stand up. All right. Moving on. The next question. Is Portal offering features other than DeFi? Like even a messaging app?
We
Eric, you want to
are.
talk about Grow and our plans to potentially bring that to the wider market?
Yeah,
Bitcoin?
absolutely. So the Fabric ecosystem absolutely already includes a messaging application where we're taking an existing open source protocol and kind of reducing the feature set down to just a very small, thin messaging application. We're using this as a platform to integrate Fabric into the existing social networks, including Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, WhatsApp, all the Facebook messaging stuff. I and probably everybody else here is flipping tired of all of these messaging apps, and I just want one common protocol that I can use to message people no matter what device or tool they use. So we have a domain that you can access right now called grove.chat. It is not very accessible on mobile, but you can download any one of a number of open source clients which already exist, which have compatibility with the network. And so I would recommend, yeah, just checking it out. We are absolutely going to be extending and connecting all of that messaging functionality through the portal application. After all, in order to participate in a peer-to-peer network, you have to be able to send data between people. So you have messaging, even if it's not chat. And so all of these features and applications are a part of an early experiments in this interoperability that we're trying to establish for a new version of the World Wide Web. I don't want Web3. I want a complete replacement for the web entirely. I want something different.
You want an
I would,
uncensorable web, not Web 7 or Web 3 or Web 16. I
yeah,
mean, those are meaningless abstractions, right? Like, we want an uncensorable web. That's what
that's
we really
exactly
want.
right. And so yeah, we gotta get off of this client server model, which is really what web is about, and get to the more strictly peer-to-peer model. So yeah, in any case, um, I think that's all I got to say about it.
And hey, you're certainly not wrong about too many messengers. I
Yeah,
think AOL Instant Messenger just recently went down.
yeah, it was tragic. When I used AOL Instant Messenger, I used ICQ, I used IRC, had all of the things. MSN Instant Messenger, Yahoo Instant Messenger, all of these are platforms with Google Talk. I guess has become Hangouts now or Meetup, whatever they've decided to rebrand it into. But these are all systems which are at the behest of their hosts, right? And again, that's what I was trying to say is that we got to get rid of the client server model. We got to get rid of the web, if you will, and create a network, create a graph, create a fabric, if you will, where we're requesting documents from one another, and there is no way to censor because anyone can have the document that you're looking for. Yeah, so that's basically what we've been working towards is very strong integration. Messaging is the first start. Messaging is a deep part of the underlying protocol. It's an important aspect of unifying and finding ways to connect and get these communications networks on the human side strengthened and more resilient to whoever has what app and outside attacks and all of that. And yeah, it's that's what we're trying to do is build that interoperability and make a more connected world, I guess, at the end of the day.
And keeping it open source too, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure everyone misses some sort of a deprecated project that never released their source code.
Yeah, it's tragic. I lost connection with tons of people that I spent early formative parts of my life with. Talking online, connecting with people in internet chat rooms, and then all of that is gone. That if you didn't stay connected, the data is gone. There's no way to get it anymore. So that's another big thing I want to bring an end to.
All right, and speaking of limited periods of time, this is the last. This is the last of the big questions. What are the plans for the project for the next 100 days?
Ship product. That's it. We are very singularly focused at this point in time on just absolutely getting the product into the hands of real users. So we have an upcoming private beta, and hopefully we can start rolling that out before 100 days, and that's my plan. By the end of Q1, we're gonna absolutely look to have something in the market. So that's a little less than 60 days, or a little more than 60 days away now. So yeah, that is our singular focus. Obviously, we have the upcoming public sale, and I'm surprised to not have received more questions about it. But hopefully look for the upcoming dates on Republic, and once we get through that, it is full speed ahead to shipping Portal Wallet to real users.
Absolutely. Now, looks like we have time for a couple more questions. Let's see what new has been asked in the AMA questions channel. Feel free to peruse, guys. Ooh, yeah, we got a gentleman here, Cody, looking for screenshots of our platform. Any thoughts on when I might be able to release those?
Yeah, we're planning actually on not only releasing some screenshots but some videos as well. We're basically pulling all of the features and functionality that we've just come out of research and development for, and pulling them into tangible products and implementing them within the application. In parallel, we obviously have our desktop application, which has existing exchange functionality and integration with existing exchanges. So there are lots of resources that will be coming down the pipeline in the near future. Stand by. We appreciate everybody's patience, but I use the wallet myself, and I'm pretty stoked to be able to release parts of it to you guys. But we definitely will be making many iterations as things go on. So anything that you may see in a private channel or in definitely in public channels, understand that this is not a final product, and anticipate changes in collaboration with everybody's feedback moving forward.
Fantastic. Let's see what else they have. Ooh. So yeah, not sure I completely understand this question, but let's see. How will we be able to change BTC tech to integrate BTC? Don't we need to have like major governance to change the ecosystem?
Can you reread the first part again for me?
Let's see. How will we be able to change Bitcoin tech to integrate Bitcoin? Oh, let's see. Oh no, he's changed. Quick edit right there. Change Bitcoin technology to integrate Portal.
We don't have to change Bitcoin. Bitcoin already supports all of the necessary features. That's the beautiful thing. As a new layer 2 network, Portal is an opt-in to participate. It's right now, to use Bitcoin, you don't have to use Lightning, right? You do need to use Bitcoin to use Lightning, in the same way that you would need to use Bitcoin to use or layer any sort of anchor asset to use Portal. But we are just a standalone opt-in layer 2 network. So there are no changes to Bitcoin necessary at this time. And it doesn't appear that, the way that we have our protocol designed, it does not appear that Ethereum is incompatible either. So things are looking really good. Yeah, I mean, I think with Taproot's activation, there's even potential here for further on-chain privacy improvements, which would be superbly helpful. The ability for us to make a Portal, a transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain that came from Portal, a way to make it completely indistinguishable from any other Taproot transaction is very powerful. That basically wraps up any needs. I mean, provided the Bitcoin ecosystem adopts the Taproot and descriptor wallets, all the privacy set, the anonymity set will grow quite large. The number of non-Taproot transactions will grow smaller and smaller over time, and so you'll get even more added privacy benefits. But there are no changes to Bitcoin required at this point in time to support what Portal needs, and that is basically a green light for full-on acceleration into deploying a truly decentralized exchange.
Fantastic. Hey guys, this has been extremely informative, as expected. Let's see, do we have
Terry, thank you so
one
much for
more?
hosting. Yeah, I
You
can
got
take
it.
You said you want to take one more? You
Yeah,
got
let's
time?
let's see. Do we have time for one more? Hmm.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yep. Hmm. See, checking through the chats. Anyone have any last minute questions they want to add before we head out? Ooh. We got a gentleman looking at how we're going to be attracting traders for the platform for trading functionality.
That's a great question. We are going to be we have several sections of the application that are not all focused on trading. So, but the fact that people can trade and get access to much cheaper trading fees, like we really think that we're gonna pretty much blow the bottom out of the markets as they are today. But we're going to be marketing in parallel the additional features that the portal application has, and so that should draw a lot of traffic in. Those platforms will be pushed out on social media, and we'll be doing pay per click stuff, and we've raised a reasonable amount of money thanks to a lot of the people in our community. If you're an investor, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We have a huge marketing team right now ready to kind of, as soon as the product is on the market, we're going to really push the gas on pushing out social media campaigns, advertising campaigns, the whole 9 yards. So we really think we're going to be competitive with our pricing. Hopefully our feature set is nice and well refined, such that it's an enjoyable experience on par with the top tier exchanges today. I mean, personally, I think Uniswap is an absolutely horrendous user experience, and I would like to improve upon it. So that's why I'm here working on Portal. So yeah, I mean, that's hopefully that answers the question. I mean, we're going to rely a lot on the community here. You guys are the army. You guys can help get the word out. If you think the application is good and you enjoy using it, tell your friends. If you don't, tell us and give us ideas and suggestions for improvements so we can make it better. And ideally, we're gonna open source the application such that everybody in the community can make their own suggestions and pull requests, and maybe even make your own version of it if you want to. So that is really the goal. So hopefully that answers the question.
All right, hey, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. We'll be having another one coming up. And
Yeah, thanks again for hosting, Terry.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Jared. Wonderful job. Thanks everybody for joining.
Yep. Take care, everyone. Good morning and or good night.